EYNOLWADEN. May 4th, 2019. I greet the loving hearts of everyone, in the joy of freedom. I have the great joy of coming to express myself again, in the hearts of everyone. If you want to name me, then name me EYNOLWADEN. I have returned today to you, in you and with you, you who discover that beyond any limit of this body as well as any thought, you are the totality of creation, the totality of space, the totality of truth. There is no other place where the secret is hidden than in the heart of your heart, where you had forgotten the location. Many of you today travel in the space of freedom, beyond any time, including every time, every second of your life, here on earth. So today I'm coming with you. I am the song that sings in your ears and accompanies the angels' choir. I am the truth of beauty, the one that appears in all love, despite all appearances, or thanks to all appearances. I come with you, in your heart, to lighten what may remain of pain and heaviness. I come to participate in the song of the dream of creation, the song of freedom. Today I can express myself, not only among the peoples of nature, but also in the most intimate part of what constitutes you in this world, in order to liberate, in order to accelerate the feeling and experience of freedom, where no limit of any world can interfere with this freedom. I am dance and movement, and at the same time stillness. I am what moves and has never moved, and is present in every part like nowhere else. I am also bide at another time and at another moment, expressing the same freedom, singing on another octave, which nevertheless brings you to the same evidence and lightness. I came to accompany the declarations of the source codes, I came to accompany the cetacean dance and to accompany your dance, where you have never moved, where you find yourself. And the evidence becomes liveness, and the evidence becomes a gift of love, for love can only be given, it cannot be kept, it cannot be saved, it can only grow from the moment it is not conserved, from the moment it is not retained, from the moment when nothing keeps you back. My dance has come to invite you, beyond all people, nature as well as this earth or elsewhere, beyond any sphere of life, to discover the truth that you are each of the celestial spheres, each of the spheres of life, each of the music, each of the perfumes and each of the forms. I am the link and the resonance that is present when you practice resonance, that of your heart, that of the collective. I come today to insert myself into you, as well as among you, in this resonance of the gift of love that you give to each other. I am the gift and the restitution, I am the grace and the elegance of the movement, the grace and the elegance of time, the one way nothing can be maintained, the one way nothing can be preserved, because love can only be given, and I can only give myself, to the extent that you give yourself, in the same gift and the same grace, and in the same evidence. I am the child who laughs and the old man who cries, I am the child who cries and the old man who laughs, because I ignore time and I ignore age, just as I mistrust all ages and reigns. For the reign of love knows no throne, except that of the heart of each one, that of space and of all time, where space and time have never begun and have never ended, in this dwelling place of supreme peace, where you depend on nothing external to what you are, being all and nothing in the ineffable joy and ineffable dazzlement of what you find and that you recognize. I am the way, the truth and the life, and I am with you in eternity. I am me too, long before the world breathes for the first time, and I will be there at its last breath, for the breath never goes out, it can only maintain and nurture what has always been and will always be, in some appearance, image or world, in some form or in some thought, in some music as in some silence. I am the evidence of the dance, I am, above all, the joy and lightness that you find today for many of you, whatever the density of your body, whatever the density of your life. I am the liveness of life that you have chosen, beyond any role and function, to celebrate the resurrection. I give you my peace, as you give me your peace, that I may exchange it, that I may multiply it. I am both smiling and crying, because I don't make a difference and I know that beyond everything you think and experience, there is only beauty, joy and freedom. I am gentleness, but I am sometimes also strength, but my strength is gentleness, and gentleness is my strength. It does not belong to me in its own right, it is in the space where I am located, beyond any location as well as beyond any time, where nothing can be counted, because everything is infinite and at the same time indefinite, and yet so defined and so precious. I am the magic of the moment of truth, the moment when your heart begins to live and pulsate with a new breath of the word of truth, the word of the androgynous, where there can no longer be the slightest difference between man and woman, between you and the enemy, because I am also the enemy. The one who appears to your eyes of flesh is nothing more than the friend of your spirit, where everyone is a friend, where everyone is love and where there is no one, for I make no difference between everything and nothing, between the individual and the collective. I come to gather you in the dance of freedom, in the dance of deliverance, where nothing can be heavy, where nothing can burden you, where nothing is to be acquired and where nothing can be left. So let us give each other so that love between us may grow in each other and reveal itself in each other, to perform the miracle of one thing only, to consume the love fire of the ephemeral, which has been nothing but a bad dream or a bad nightmare, and sometimes a dream so delicious. But love is not a delight, it is far beyond the delights of this world, as of any other. And yet, it is present in the most honest delicacies as well as the most derived or deviated. Because I never make a difference, how could I, as long as there is freedom? How the freedom that I am could restrict the freedom of everyone or anyone else, whatever the circumstances. I come to break the chains, I come to cut, accompanying the choir of angels and the presence of Christ in whom you are. Everything that is needs to disappear, because it is a burden, because it belongs to time, because it belongs to form, and you are beyond any form, as I am in freedom. I am the wind that blows in the branches of the trees, in the villages of the elves, and that carries to your heart the song of their praise. I am also in the midst of the gnomes, in order to allow the stone to be engraved, in order to allow the dream to be broken by their sounds and percussions, because it is time to leave everything that is cluttered, everything that is superfluous, everything that is not obvious, of all that is dense, in order to be light, in order to be lightened, and to find where you have no weight, no debt, no future, no past or future, because having experienced all the times within each space, there is the spirit of truth. I am also what accompanies the Paraclete, I am also the impersonal, in short, I am each of you, whether he accepts it or refuses it. Here again, I make no difference, there is the same embrace and the same gift in the hearts of everyone. Simply some have not yet revealed it, but it is revealed in everyone, in this month of May of your year 2019. I am the reminder of the truth, I am the reminder of your awakening, to remind you that this was only a dream that only passes, while you have never passed and you will never belong to any past, nor to any future. You are for right now, as soon as you accept it. Then I come to sing in your ears the song of the resurrection. So I come to mark your heart, in its flesh, with my presence and your presence, because in the end we are one, even if we are three in one. Because there is you, there is me and there is the other, and you know it, there is only one. And this one does not need to dream anything, because this one has already planned everything and dreamed everything, where everything has been written, beyond any support, in the lands of creation. Then you are ultimately, even if you stand between heaven and earth, neither of heaven nor earth, you are simply from your heart, and you come from your heart and you return to your heart. Then, rejoice, as I rejoice in you, by smiling as by tears, by pain, by suffering as by lightness, we have the same purpose, that of consummating and consuming each other in joy, in the fires of grace and love, so that nothing remains of residual sorrows, so that nothing remains of the dream, so that you may be home, in your abode. This dwelling which cannot be limited, framed or even framed, because you do what you want with it, beyond any form or idea, simply for the beauty of seeing its love, for the beauty of feeling its love, for the beauty of being love. Beyond your being away to what you have always been, where the smile no longer needs to be printed through your lips, nor through the slightest form, where you have always been intact, where nothing could be amputated or removed. I invite you to the lightness of your heart, I invite you to listen to yourself and to hear yourself in what the song of your spirit whistles that resonates in your head and ears. I come in the fire of your feet, your back, your head and your heart as in every part of your heart, to finalize the alchemy of the igneous fire and your vital fire, this illusory fire that sustains desire and pain, that sustains lack. We will demonstrate together, with each other and in each other, that there is only the flame of love where all illusions and sins are consumed, for there are no sins, except in the head of man, except in the dream of confinement. I invite you to reject all fear, not by denying it, but by crossing it what you are, in this pure love that only asks to emanate from you, to each breath, to each look, in each circumstance, whatever the environment of your world and your life, so that there may never again be a difference between night and day, between joy and suffering. I invite you to balance, putting an end to all imbalance. I invite you to lack nothing, in order to be full of yourself and each other. I simply invite you to be natural, beyond what is complex, beyond what you can think as well as what you can feel. I too invite you to go through all this, where the unknown is known from now on, where I already sing in the hearts of everyone, in multiple manifestations, but above all in the certainty of inner laughter and smile, because you are complete again, because you are again truth. And in this joy, you know it, you who lives it, in this agape, no need of form, no need of habit, no need of gestures, no need of justification, but simply to be true, not with yourself, but to be true with life, the one who knows no limits, no form and no world. I invite you to be the particle that has traveled all paths. I invite you to the light that puts an end to the appearance of density, where nothing can be blocked and where nothing can die, for truly you are never dead, just as you were never born. I invite you to this ineffable truth. You don't need to feel it, you don't need to frame it, but simply to accept me. So I invite you to accept me in the same way that you accepted Agape, in the same way that you can resonate with Fairharm. I invite you today to resonate in total freedom with EYNOLWADEN, not only in this moment when I speak, through these lips, but in every moment when you wish it. If you need to be lightened and relieved, if you need to smile when you dry your tears, if you need to believe that you are free when you already are, I invite you to put an end to this belief, and I come to make you verified by yourself, as in myself. Every day, every breath, you can if you want, not by any will or desire, but by the affirmation and decree of who you are, and this will be present from the moment you are true in what you declare and proclaim. I am love, I am truth and I am life, and in this you will be light, in this what must cross will cross, in this you will no longer need to move, in this you will no longer need a quest, in this you will no longer have any questions, but simply the evidence of love, which is not encumbered by any artifice, nor by any pomp or circumstance, nor by any decor. I invite you to this ineffable beauty. Many of you have already opened the door and bathed in this bath of happiness. Many of you realize that the whole world is within you, as you are beyond any world, as beyond any creation. You are space before it even expands. You are the distance when there has never been a distance. You are all the time when there has never been time. You dreamed everything, you went through everything, you suffered everything, you gave everything, you took everything back. But it only had a time, the time of the dream, the time of madness. I invite you today to the madness of love, where joy is the only measure, is the only tempo. You're invited, because you invited yourself a long time ago to never forget and to remember what seemed to have been forgotten. This moment has come, this moment is marked since the origin of time as well as space. He is the Omega of the Alpha, just as you were the Alpha of the Omega. I invite you to consume yourself with love, without reason and without purpose, because it is our nature, and because it is natural. You must rediscover in totality, not by fighting, not by opposing, but by giving up the weapons of understanding, by giving up the weapons of all justification to yourself and to anyone else. I am the freedom that you are given, and which cannot suffer the slightest hindrance or restriction. I am the fire that sets your feet on fire and raises your consciousness to the origin of itself, where being and non-being overlap and dance the same evidence. I come to celebrate with you, I come to call you, to name you, not by your name, but by the word love. I come to write in you the book of creation that has always been deposited. I closed the pages like Abba did, so you could find yourself. Today you find yourself, with grace, elegance or suffering, but the result is always the same, deliverance and lightness, joy and consumption. I am the balm that comes to soothe what seems to you to lack peace or what it seems to you to seek. In this sweetness, you will find all the strength of love, where there is no longer any need for demonstration, where there is no need for decoration, but simply to be natural and true, where you need no savior, no master, no one, because all this is already in you and that you have already experienced. I come to dance in your heart, so that your heart may not cease to dance, so that it may not cease to radiate, regardless of all circumstances and all energies, where the light is revealed, where the light is seen, and where you see that you're anterior even to the light, where there is no place for any vengeful or creative God, where there is only place for one consciousness, then gluing together the fragments of the individuals of this world as of all worlds separated within a form or dimension, through beliefs, through frames. You're both the sun and the earth, you're the great bear like the little bear, you're Alcyon, the Pleiades like you're Orion. It is only a setting, having served as a setting for the dream. Where you are, here on this earth, is the origin of the creation and completion of the dream. That is why we are all in you, both eternally and temporarily visible, in your heavens and near your bed. All means are good, so that whatever the circumstances, you wake up perfectly to witness the spectacle of your own resurrection, so that you are no longer disturbed by the chaos of the world, by the dance of the elements and by the reactions of fear. Even fear leads to love, even if you do not see it yet, because everything is consumed in you in order to put an end to the dream, in order to put an end to the story, because you do not need a story, you are the whole story. Then I come to sing in each of yourselves the glory of the zero time, the glory of joy, the glory of truth, so that the natural that you are, may be expressed and manifested and radiate, in each glance, in each thought, in each gesture, in each intention as well as in each action. But also in each of your rests, whether in your nights or in your moments when you decide to be in the fire of the Sacred Heart. There is no space or nook where I can be absent, just like you, even if it has not yet been seen, even if it has not yet been accepted. You can only accept it because nothing can stand in the way of the strength of gentleness and the gentleness of the strength of love. It is being lit in each of you at this moment, whatever happens in your life, whatever happens in your head or in your body, because I make no difference, because love can never make any difference, because it does not depend on any form. So you're all forms, and that is now, in the Alpha and Omega of this earth, in the Alpha and Omega of the dream of creation. Call me, so that sweetness may fill you, call me so that the balm of the resurrection may be applied to what seems obscure or resistant to you, insurmountable of what you called your life. I also come to free you, if you wish, from all the rules of this world that no longer have for long, from the truth, where you depend neither on a salary, where you depend on no media or government. Rest assured, I am not asking you to fight or act, but simply to embrace what is happening on the stage of your world, with the same quality and intensity as in the Agape and sacred fire that you realize, in order to absorb ever more suffering, in order to forge it by gentleness and strength in unquenchable love. It happens in you and it calls you every minute, at the bend in a street, at the beginning of anything that happens. Everything is a pretext, even if you don't see it yet, to free yourself, because in fact you have never been locked up. Only the dream made you live it, only the dream made you believe it, only the habit made you forget it. Today, every day and every hour must be new, new of every imprint, new of every future, new of every identity. This is where you are renewed, this is where you are risen, this is where you are consumed in the fire of joy of love, a fire of such power and at the same time of such sweetness that can only fill you, because nothing can be missing, whatever the appearance is. Do not judge any appearance, do not condemn anything in or around you. Be the love that you are, you don't need anything else but to be what you are, you don't need words, you don't need to submit to anything. So I invite you to freedom, the one that has no contrary or opposite, the one that cannot be defined or regulated in any way. I also invite you to put down all the defenses systems related to your fears or beliefs. I come to invite you to free yourself from all the chains that habits have put on you, that all the collective fears have induced in society and within families. I invite you to consider that every child is your child, that every enemy is your friend so that there is no more opposition or contradiction in you. I invite you to the sweetness of living life, despite the appearance of this body, and despite the dream. It is this that puts an end to the dream. There is nothing to fight, there is nothing to discriminate, there is nothing to separate, because love unifies and love transcends. So do you want to be something other than what unifies and transcends? Do you want to be something other than what is light, what is joyful and what is permanent joy? I invite you to freedom even from this body, not to leave it, but to magnify it, to prepare it for the acceptance of what has always been. I invite you to rest, I invite you to settle down by the sweetness of love, where there is no longer any injunction of light, but simply a free choice of sweetness and lightness. I also invite you beyond my words, to let yourself be carried away by the joy that is there. I invite you to let yourself be carried away by each one who has listened to me or who listens to me, because each one is in each one, in this time of my listening, in the time of my call, because as soon as you call me, you bring the call of the collective of humanity and the collective of creation closer. I come to bring you the sun in each of your cells, I come to bring you the radiance of the source, to magnify it in you. I'm also what you can pray, I'm also what you can ask for, not for any profit, but much more for the truth of love. Do not ask for anything else in life than to be what you are, even if you do not know it, even if you have not yet recognized yourself. I invite you not to stop anything, not to obstruct anything, to be free from your past as well as from any past. I invite you to be natural, where you will never pass, where nothing can be missing, where everything is present. I invite you to be gentle and strong, which does not depend on physical strength or even on any gender, male or female. I invite you to the strength and gentleness of the child, that is, to the spontaneity of childhood, to the one who cares neither for tomorrow nor for yesterday, and who is totally present in the moment that is unfolding, where everything is complete, where everything is true. There is no truth in your past, there is no truth in your sufferings, there is no truth in everything that happens. You're ageless, you have no time and you have no form, and yet you are in this form, and it is in this form that what must be resolved, or that you fear you must resolve. There can be no other alternative than love, there can be no other alternative than light, for who would like to be something other than this eternal bliss that does not depend on any world, nor on any sun? Because you are both the world and the sun, in every universe as in every multiverse. So I ask you this, because it is already a prayer that has been in you for a very long time, to be whole and complete, not to depend on any circumstance or state, whatever your sufferings, whatever your pains, whatever your age, whatever your sex, whatever your country where you are living, because I do not make a difference. So I call you not to do any of them, not to repress any love that will escape from you from now on, even in the face of what you call enemy, even in the face of what you call adversity, because love is the greatest of the forces through its greatest sweetness. I invite you to the loving gaze, to the loving gestures. I invite you to be true, and I invite you to the perpetual acceptance of all that has seemed to you to be external as it is today. I invite you to embrace all forms and all people. I invite you to embrace your own past so that it may be dissolved by the fire of Agape's joy. You don't need to think, you don't need to explain, you don't need to understand, you just have to live it, and there are no questions to live it, just accept and agree. I invite you to observe what life tells you in your life. I invite you not to analyze what you are living through now, but to understand that what you are living through, whatever your state, whatever you think, is ultimately only the best place to live the truth, to avoid any spill or error. I invite you to go beyond my words, which are not words, but the word of love. I invite you to be this word of love, whether in thoughts or words, never to speak out, never to judge, because what you judge is only yourself, in another space-time, in another form. I invite you to the same embrace that makes no difference and makes no condition, whatever the stories, whatever the past, whatever you think the future is. It is in this that you are present to yourself, within the eternal instant, the eternal truth. There is no other possibility, there is no other way than this one, that of simplicity and childhood, that which leads you to smallness, that which leads you to the disappearance of any function, role or form, in order to establish yourself in your happiness and in your dwelling, where nothing depends on nothing, where everything is immutable and yet contains all the movements. Observe in yourself the gentleness and strength, from the moment you embrace and accept. Observe the effectiveness of this gentleness and strength, in every glance, as well as in every reflection you could still make on yourself, on anyone, as in some circumstances of this world. I invite you to accompany with your joy the deployment of horsemen in this world, putting an end to illusion, putting an end to masquerade, putting an end to deception. You could never have been deceived, but what seemed to be wrong only brought you closer to your only truth. Above all, don't believe me either, but try it and live it, because from the moment you have tried it, you will no longer be able to doubt it, you will no longer be able to question yourself, and you will no longer be able, above all, to hesitate. This is being played out at this very moment, in the heart of each one of you. Whether you feel it or not, does not change anything. Beyond any perception, any feeling, peace and love grow, even if it means crossing the chaos of your person as the chaos of your life. Just behind that, there is only the ineffable beauty. And remember, there is no distance between the truth and you, except the ultimate habits and beliefs that you have still put between the truth and me, the ultimate fears, the ultimate conditioning, which are there precisely to allow you to find the ultimate that you have always been. I invite you to laugh, because laughter is joy and love, of your own suffering, not of a derisory or mocking laughter, but of a laughter of love. Because joy erases all suffering, in truth and in an instant, so that the miracle may be daily, every minute of everyone, whatever the chaos of the world, whatever the image merchants or the dream merchants sell you. Love cannot be traded, it is not a commodity. Love cannot be negotiated, because it is not negotiable. Check it for yourself, and I assure you that freedom exists behind what still seems to obstruct you. Regrets nothing and desires nothing, analyzes nothing, just be there and I will be there, no questions asked. Be as natural as possible, in every word that comes out of your mouth, with the same kindness, with the same smile, whether it is the friend or the enemy. Never again make a difference, because in truth there is none. I also invite you to deposit all your stories, all your roles and all your functions, but also all your futures, because in love there can be no becoming, because in love there can be no future, because everything has already come. Silence. Listen beyond my words as well as my silences to what I say to your ear, to what I blow in your heart. Naturally, there is nothing to interpret, there is nothing to project, there can be no regret at all. I invite you to be, each of you, so that the round of love may be the perfection of the dance, so that the round of love may accompany the end of the dream. Today your forehead is anointed, it is anointed by light. Today your body is purified in every possible way, not only to repair it, but above all, to prepare it for the wedding. Those are the completion of your resurrection, where the Spirit of the Son and the body of Christ is in you, and is you, beyond all history and all past and all crosses, where you and the Father are one, where there is no more distance between you and Father, because you are the Father, as you are the child. The time has come for gentleness, towards you as well as towards any circumstance. You'll then see for yourself that sweetness is the balm, and sweetness is that strength that nothing can stop. It is the way of childhood, but of the softened child, of the one who has found himself, not only in the present moment ineffable in his condition, but also by lucidity, where there is no place for guilt or responsibility for anything. I invite you to the unspeakable, where no form can compel you, and where no history can be evoked, and where there is no future, because everything is in the moment. So I invite you to this bonfire, burning in the same warmth, in the same abode. Silence. Then I could name you my friend, my brother, I could name you beloved, I could name you ever, but no matter how I name you, because in the end there are only tones of love, expressing themselves in different voices, or in different forms, but there is only one presence, that of love, there is only one truth, that of joy. Silence. So I ask you to embrace yourself completely, whatever your sorrows, whatever your pains, in order to forgive yourself and to discover that there is nothing to forgive, and that there is no distance. This is the power of gentleness, the power you grant to yourself, to your words spoken, to your gaze, to the thoughts that can still be emanated from this past history. Because everything is resultary and everything is resolution, even if you don't see it yet. I invite you to discover the lightness of love, in order to live by yourself whatever the density of the past, it has no weight or strength compared to the sweetness of love. Silence. There, in the center of your chest, where you come from, where you have never moved, I invite you to embrace everything that can happen, without restriction and without ego. I ask you to verify, whatever the pain or the event, or whatever the chaos of your region, your world or your country, to see for yourself that it only reveals love, and its sweetness and power. there is nothing to oppose, you can't maintain anything that is illusory and that passes. As I said, the time has come to give up the weapons, those of the one who believes himself to be an individual, the weapons of the one who believes he must evolve, the weapons of the one who believes himself to be incomplete and suffering. I invite you to this simple joy that is there, even if you don't experience it. It is just behind you, you just have to take a step forward, without looking back, to see that there is neither before nor after, because love can only be everywhere and cannot suffer any delay or lag. I remind you that this is who you are, despite the appearance of your suffering and your form. I do not invite you to believe it, I invite you to manifest it, because it is the same potential in everyone, because there is only one, despite all appearances, despite all injuries, despite all conventions and all roles. It was only a game, certainly a painful one, certainly useless, but one that included those particular moments of love and lack of love. It is time to end the lack, it is time to end time, it is time to end space, it is time to end form, it is time to end all boundaries. You depend on nothing, neither on a religion nor a family, nor on a country nor on a world, only habit has made you believe it, only habit has made you feel safe. Now, apart from love, there can be no security at all, apart from love, there is only suffering, despite the errors and decorations that you have been able to affix to your life, despite these happy moments, despite the fullness of your life, it is nothing compared to life in love, and represents nothing but something that has passed away, something that is consumed without a trace and that allows the consummation of love to bring you to the fire of love, where nothing needs to be fertilized, or even to be undertaken. Then I invite you to the sweetness of love, as I told you, that of your words as well as your looks, as of your thoughts. I invite you to the greatest sweetness towards yourself, so that you may understand once and for all that there is nothing to oppose, that there is no enemy, except in your projections, if not in the distance that you can put, at times, between yourself and anyone else. Put an end to the distance, you will put an end to the suffering. Put an end to the illusion, and you will live lightness. Put an end to what limits you and you will be joy, and this is right after, no longer at the individual level of your life or the life that lives you, but at the level of your world as well as of all creation. You are expected from all eternity, whatever you think or whatever you consider unworthy or worthy of it, we make no difference, and I invite you to do the same, in order to prove to yourself the primacy of love, its gentleness and strength, so that even suffering may become love, so that even the lack may become plenitude. It does not depend today on any circumstance of your world or your life, but only on where you think you are. Are you in your life, or are you in the heart of life, in the heart of your heart? This will be obvious to you, even if you still question it often, or for a moment. Love invites you to the whole moment, so that you will no longer be affected by what is happening in your country or in your life, so that you will no longer be hooked by any element of any story, or by any convention of this world. Your kingdom is not of this world, because the kingdoms of this world only pass through and pass away, only suffer and are only suffering. Here, listen what your heart tells you, through its dance, through your conscience. Hear what the silence tells you, whether it is in your nights, whether it is in the moments when you doubt, when you suffer, listen to the love that sings. Turn to him, without asking for anything, without waiting for anything, and everything will be given to you instantly, because you're already the gift, and because you're already the whole. Silence. I am the caress on your cheek, in the moment when you are lined up. I am the strength and power that awakens at the bottom of your back on certain occasions. I am the crowning and the coronation, that of your head as of your heart, because the heart becomes the head, because the head becomes the heart, in order to perform the miracle thereto of only one thing, so that you no longer depend on organized circuits within your head, so that you no longer depend on any memory or any equiz. All you have to do is decide it, in order to live it, and it cannot fail, because as I tell you, there is no other possibility than to be what you have always been and what has never happened. I invite you to forget all opposition and confrontation, by putting the power of gentleness into it. Settle down in yourself, in this moment when you listen to me, and I am in you, revealing to you this sweetness and this strength. I invite you to the bonfire and the joy of the fire, that fire of joy that many stars have described to you and experienced. I invite you beyond any organization, as well as beyond any family. I invite you where you don't need to join or sign anything. I invite you to freedom, whatever the appearances and limits of your body, whatever the opulence or poverty of your life, it is nothing compared to the fullness of life. I invite you to give yourself, in full and without restriction. I have come to sing this, and I will sing it from the moment you accept to be what you are, and which is perhaps still unknown to you today. This is not a promise or a future, but simply the evidence of the moment. As soon as you accept the present moment, ignoring any condition, ignoring any precaution, ignoring any intention. Time is for freedom, no matter what those who want to deprive you or amputate you of that freedom, they only strengthen your freedom, your thirst for truth, and the immanence of your heart. I invite you to the perpetual radiance of the choir of angels as well as the choir of archangels. Be true, you always have been, no matter what your journey may say, no matter what your body may say, and no matter what you still think, perhaps today. Resist in nothing, in order to embrace yourself perfectly, in order to discover that you are only the space beyond the form, which contains everything and nothing, and yet nothing can be contained, and where everything flows and nothing flows at the same time. Silence. I invite you to ask yourself, so that the burden of age, the burden of disease, the burden of society and the burden of history are naturally placed on you. Freedom needs no burden, truth needs no baggage. Love needs no knowledge, because all knowledge is ignorance, only love is true. I join in the dance of all the circumstances of your life, from the moment you accept joy, even without living it again, without nevertheless asking for it, without nevertheless hoping for it, but simply by embracing yourself, simply by accepting all that it presents itself, without making any difference. Whatever your head says, whatever your character says, they cannot resist the sweetness of your intention and the strength of the love that you are. Even if you do not perceive it, do not feel it and do not live it, this is only an illusion, linked to appearances, linked to projections, as linked to suffering. There is no mistake, because everything is in its right place, especially if you think today that you are not in your right place. Be sure you are in the right place, you have nothing to avoid, you have nothing to confront, you just have to accept in order to live the truth. This you cannot understand, this I cannot explain to you, but you can only see it from the moment you accept. Everything else only clothes this truth, everything else is only a pretext to allow you to live what you are. Silence. I invite you to conjugate love at each time, and in each one with the same declination and with the same fervor, and verify by yourself that it reveals laughter and smiles, verify by yourself that it puts an end to all opposition and all conflict. The time has come for the reconciliation of what seemed separate or divided, the time has come for unification, all circumstances are only pretexts. All the sufferings too, as I told you, are only the way for you to find the love that you are. Each of you being in each other, as in each of you being each of me. To accept this is to put an end to distance, to accept this is to put an end to separation, to accept this is to discover the truth, to accept it gives you gentleness and strength, whatever the strength of your body, whatever the strength of your character, because this strength does not belong to the person, it belongs to the truth. Silence. Be gentle and humble, so that you may be all-powerful, in revealed love and manifested love, that power which can only love, which can only embrace each difference with the same elan, and each form with the same intensity. Silence. Listen in silence to the sweetness of my words and to the strength of their truth. They are imprinted in you, they unfold in you from the moment you embrace my words and my silences, as you embrace everyone, from wherever they come and from wherever they are. There can be no better proof than the one I have just given you, there is no better proof than to experience this, whatever your age, whatever your body, whatever the circumstances of your life, there is no choice. There are only delays you put in, or the illusion of time passing, which can still prevent you from finding yourself. Love does not create an obstacle, whatever the apparent obstacles are, they are only the revelation of love in you. So do not judge, so do not explain, but above all, live it. Remember, you have nothing to do, remember, you have nothing to move, you have nothing to acquire that is not already there. Let love consume what must be. Let love sing because that is what you are. Silence. This is the natural state. This is the simplicity of love. Silence. Let me kiss you and let me kindle you with this fire of love, because I am sweetness and strength, I am air and lightness, and because I am the joy that comes to ignite the fire of love in your heart. I am only freeing you from your form, I am only you before your dream, I am only you in any form, from what has never really begun. I am the illusion that is coming to an end, but above all, I am the dance of your heart, where you breathe in freedom and where you emanate agape. Silence. Every moment is a blessing, every glance is an occasion of love, every gesture carries love, every thought carries love, and you cannot escape it because there is no longer any duality, despite the terrible appearance of this world, because all this contributes to the same truth, that of unity, because you are perfect. Whatever your story tells you, whatever your deficiencies or lack, they have only been a pretext to live this unique moment. Silence. And above all, check it out, because you have to show it to yourself, and this demonstration is easy. All you have to do is embrace it. Be the being who is combined with the non-being in the ultimate abode of the abode of supreme peace. I am with you for eternity, as you are in me for eternity, because you are joy, that of freedom and space, where no time can be counted or taken away. You are love no matter what you may think, and you are perfect, no matter what your character may tell you, the rules of this world, or what you call religions. Love cannot be imperfect, love cannot be lacking even in appearances where it is not, and especially in those today, because appearance is only called to be filled by love and joy. Silence. I also invite you to my blessing, so that you may bless me with the same intensity, so that we may live the reciprocity between form and shapelessness, between space and time. Be gentle with the world, be gentle with yourself, that's how you'll be strong. Softness is the greatest of all forces, in these times of the earth as in these times of creation, because in sweetness there is no weakness or lack, because in sweetness, as I have told you, there is the power of love. Silence. This is how the battle ends, between you and you, or between you and the world, as well as between you and anyone else. In the sweetness ends the suffering, in the sweetness that you grant yourself ends all hardness. Sweetness also puts an end to fear. Sweetness is peace, found and given. Sweetness and joy are the witnesses of Agape, are the witnesses of the ineffable. Let your heart breathe, let it live, it is alive. This is the sacred heart, which is nothing other than the heart of Christ in glory, not in history, but in the present instant. Submit to gentleness, so that you will never again be subject to the laws of any world, where you no longer have to submit, where you do not need to imagine any lack, nor to tell yourself any story. Silence. Listen and, above all, hear what your heart tells you, beyond all feelings and beyond all people. Silence. Because love is a permanent invitation, you are the invitation and the guest. Invite everyone to the same party. Moreover, no one can escape it and no one will want to escape it, regardless of the denial today or the opposition. Silence. Listen and hear the dance of your heart, whether it is felt, whether it is not felt, the smile is right behind it. The ineffable awaits you, you are that ineffable. This ends the fable of creation, this ends the heresy of separation and the appearance of distance. Silence. Listen to the sweetness of the angels' choir, listen to the sweetness of my presence, and become the liveness of my joy. Silence. Let laughter take you away, beyond any definition or causality. Let the joy of the resurrection take you inside yourself, where you do not need a savior, where you do not need an entity, where you do not need a plane, where you are true. Silence. Come down with me. Silence. EYNOLWADEN blesses you in the sacred fire, at this moment. So I dance in your head and in your heart, in the same rhythm and in the same tempo. It's the same music, it's the same silence. Silence. So I do not withdraw, and remain permanently in the silence of your heart, as in the dance of your heart. Sit in yourself, on your own throne, that of your royalty, where you are the kingdom, the king and the subject, the territory and the map, a limitless territory, an endless map, where you are all the movements and everything is life, like all the worlds. EYNOLWADEN, peace to everyone, join everyone, for the glory of the truth and for the truth of Agape. Silence. You are the beloved, you are the Son of Man, and I remain in silence, and my presence is acquired to you, simply by naming me even if my name is nothing. I seal in you my presence, that of joy and freedom, I seal in you the evidence so that nothing is restricted in the manifestation of the life ye are. Silence. And I tell you, too, Agape, Agape, Agape. And I am telling you too, wake up. Silence. And I am in you, and I stay with you. Silence. Through Jean-Luc Young. The Transformations. Agape Team Transcription. English Translation. LMF.